Councilmember Calangillo. Here. Councilmember Aaron Delaney. Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Here.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Here.
Okay, we have 4 ayes and 1 absent, which means a quorum is present for this regular meeting of the Garfield City Council, which is being held today, which is Tuesday, April the 24th, 2018. This meeting is being held in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided by mail, facsimile, and email to the official city newspapers and to other interested parties, and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin boards in City Hall. If ever please rise, we'd like to begin with the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please remain standing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing. This afternoon, we had a terrible tragedy. It took place at Lanza Avenue near school number 9. A young bicyclist in a truck had an accident. We had a fatality. So as we're here this evening, I ask everyone to remember in their thoughts and prayers the young boy who lost his life, his parents, and I would like to publicly commend and thank Imam Rafat, who came from the Albanian Mosque to comfort the family at the scene. With that, Mayor, I ask for a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone.
At this time, is there a motion to approve the reports of the Cabinet as presented orally and in writing during the work session held earlier this evening? Motion by Councilmember Joseph Delaney. Second. By Councilmember Aloya. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya. Aye. Councilmember Calangillo. Yes. Councilmember Aaron Delaney. Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso. Okay, we have 4 ayes, 1 absent. You want to take over, Tom?
Ladies and gentlemen, the second item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing on a Green Acres grant application of $1 million for the historic Dundee Dam pedestrian riverwalk Phase 2. With the mayor and council's blessing, I applied for a grant late in 2016, and we were awarded $1,725,000 to apply to the purchase of properties between the intersection of River Drive and Monroe Street, and River Drive and Passaic Street. We propose Phase 2, the extension of the Riverfront Park. Unfortunately, we cannot continue right here. The grant application allowed us to apply in areas where the riverfront was potentially contaminated by a chemical spill which took place many years ago, Diamond Shamrock in Newark Bay. The Passaic River is tidal from the Newark Bay all the way up to the dam. Because the Passaic River is tidal, and because that area of the city is low-lying, and because that's an area of the city that needs some work and some attention, we applied for that grant. There was a total fund of some $53 million. The city of Garfield was awarded $1.725 million. Most of the communities closer to Newark Bay were awarded more money. We then went to the Bergen County Open Space Trust. Bergen County Open Space Trust awarded us They awarded us $425,000. I applied for $460,000. We were awarded $425,000, which was a good number. You probably read in the newspapers that we did meet. I met extensively with a committee appointed by the superintendent of schools to explore the possibility of redoing our high school athletic fields. We submitted a grant application looking for some $6.5 million in funding, and we were awarded a $1 million Green Acres grant. I called Green Acres because we have been very successful with Green Acres and have gotten a lot of money for them, and I called to express disappointment that I only got $1 million. I was told that every community in the state, every municipality, that the most they could get is $1 million. So we were awarded that $1 million. We made presentations before the school board in January and February. Those presentations were done by the city engineer, Mr. Boswell, and by me, and by our finance officer, Roy Rigatano. We scaled the project down because of the size of the award, and we scaled it into $3 million the first year. It would be $2 million the second year, and $1.5 million the third year. I ran that past Green Acres. Green Acres was amenable to that kind of an application process, but the most they would give us on the first year was $1 million towards the $3 million of Phase 1. Phase 1 was $3 million because it dealt with extensive drainage issues in the high school stadium, outside the stadium, and along the railroad spur, where we would develop all new parking and really make a state-of-the-art playing field and enhance athletics in Garfield for years to come. I did request 2 extensions from the Green Acres program to allow the Board of Education to deliberate and to determine whether or not they would proceed. The mayor and council graciously agreed that we would be able to borrow the money, and then the Board of Education would pay us back. Unfortunately, February 26th was the day that the Board of Education needed to act. A motion was made to, I'm sorry, I don't know that a motion was made. It was tabled. The discussion was tabled at the Board of Education. On February 27th, I had to report to Green Acres. This had happened once before. It happened back in 2010, 2011, where we had gone out and applied for improvements to the school field to the tune of $1.8 million, and we were awarded $800,000 at that time. Unfortunately, that project did not proceed in 2010, 2011, and we lost the $800,000. I could not let that happen this time. So some of you who may have been at the Board of Education meeting probably heard me say that if we could not fund and complete the high school stadium, which I believe to be a priority project, that I could not again lose the money, and that the money needed to be saved. When I spoke to Green Acres, I told them that I would like to continue the Riverwalk. And the lady at Green Acres said, "We love the Riverwalk." So, on February 27th, I reported back that the Board of Ed had tabled the project, and I asked if the money could be moved. And approval was granted. So tonight, I stand before you and the council. This is a public hearing which is required by Green Acres. Typically what we do is we present the project. The engineer will talk a little bit about some of the specifics. You know what the Riverwalk looks like. It already exists from the intersection of River Drive and Outwater Lane up to the border with Elmwood Park. We propose that from Monroe Street to the Passaic Street Bridge, we take all the properties that are along the riverfront, and those properties be used to create the same linear type park facility. We would improve both sides of the roadway. Not all of it is eligible for funding. So I already said we got $1,725,000 from the DEP, from that special fund, $1 million now from Green Acres, $425,000 from Bergen County Open Space Trust, and we have a commitment from Bergen County, which helped us here on River Road. We don't ask for a lot from the county. We have a commitment from the county to give us $1 million a year for 3 years. So that commitment would allow us then to proceed with this project. So very simply, and I apologize that it's not a bigger drawing. It's a small sliver of land, but it's a sliver of land that opens up the riverfront and opens up some recreational opportunities for people who live in the first ward. So we show some plantings, some trees, etc. And I'll have the engineer explain this a little bit more. We do the same thing that we do up here at the other end of the park. That is, we do all new lighting, we do all new streetscape, we do all new pavers. We open up that area, we open it up to 4 lanes, and we start working on phase 3 of the project. Phase 3 of the project would be, under the way I proposed it to the mayor and council, phase 3 would be River Drive and Outwater Lane running south. Right? River Drive and Outwater Lane running south towards the Venetian restaurant and beyond. We can only go so far because there's a lot of homes that then are on River Drive. So what we're looking at is kind of the used car lots, some of those decrepit buildings that are between River Drive and Outwater Lane, and the Venetian where the stream is. So tonight, what the Green Acres program requires is that we explain the project to the public. So the project was advertised, the hearing was advertised by the clerk, had to be advertised a couple of times, that's already taken place. Tonight, this is just a public hearing to explain what the project is about. I'll let the engineer talk a little bit more about some of the specifics, and then at that point, if anybody has any questions or any comments, we will welcome them. And that will be just on this issue. After this, we're going to do the budget hearing. So, but right now, just on Phase 2 Riverfront Park. Mr. Boswell, our engineer.
Thank you, Tom. The Riverfront Park, there's actually two sheets. This is the southern end, which at the left-hand side of the drawing is at the intersection of Passaic Street and River Drive. And the next plan I'll flip over in a moment is the northern end that goes up to Monroe Street, where, of course, you have the railroad tracks come through. It's about a half a mile. It's a little under a half of a mile. We previously have constructed a little over a mile. We've constructed about 6,500 feet of park and roadway widening from Outwater Lane north into Elmwood Park. There's a couple of main points that goes along with the park. It's not all about just building a park. It's also about widening the roadway from 2 lanes to 4. It's in some cases moving the roadway, which was done in Phase 1. It doesn't have to be done in this phase. And it's also, just as importantly, creating a way to get to the park that's safe from the easterly side of River Drive. So you probably recall when we built Phase 1, we put in a signal at Lanza Avenue, which was part and parcel of making Jewel Street one-way northbound, Ray Street one-way southbound, the middle school going in up there, and that allowed pedestrians and bicyclists to get across the roadway to get to the park at the northerly end. We also added a signal at Semmel Avenue because that's a through road from Midland Avenue to River Drive, and the intention was, again, for those people who live there to have access to the park, because you're going from crossing a 2-lane road to a 4-lane roadway. So the idea is to safely access that park. And once you get on that park, to that park, running along the park, you see a sidewalk along the roadway, but you also see in certain areas either a composite bike path, or in other areas you see a separate sidewalk and bike path. And wherever there's room, you either see parking lots, playgrounds, a lawn area, a monument area, and so, and you see a fence and lighting, but the fence is oriented, was designed by an architect to see through the fence and get views out to the river. That is the same detail that we're doing here. It's an extensive lighting plan that you see on both sides of the roadway, sidewalk, bike path, and when we talk to the different funding agencies that Mr. Dutch just talked about, we actually refer to it as a road job, a park job, and a bikeway job, because each of those 3 elements are eligible for different types of stacking types of grants and funding. So what Mr. Dutch is talking about tonight is he's talking about the Green Acres side of it, which is the park side, which is effectively 10 feet behind the westerly curb line to build the bike paths, the park, the playgrounds, the retaining wall that needs to be built over in the southerly end, and getting it up to Monroe Street. As you can imagine, it's a big change. Garfield doesn't have a main highway that it has frontage on. There's only one very small section on Route 46 where they actually front on a roadway, a state roadway. So River Drive has been established as the north-south connector that is going to be developed in this form, which is actually a scaling down of what the county standard was for this roadway. The road was supposed to be 50 foot wide, 50 feet wide. We showed that because of environmental restrictions on the northerly end, that wasn't possible. So the roadway is 46 feet wide, 8-inch curves, and a lot of drainage. You see all that on the top section, and it appears to be pretty effective at keeping cars in the roadway. The 8-inch curves are much more effective than the 6-inch curves that you see on the local roads. So on the southerly end, what you see is you have the Passaic Street, fully signalized intersection, crosswalks will be redone, barrier-free, of course. The bike path will start at the Passaic Street intersection, run up through Somerset Place and up right to Monroe Street. In some sections, all there is room for it, and the widening designated left-hand turn lanes at the Monroe Street intersection. And in some areas, over by Kalama Chemical, there's very limited area to put anything but a bikeway. When you get further south, there's a small park and playground area, and then in other areas where there's room, we've just put some more landscaping in, shade trees, lighting. Again, it's replicating the same standard that was introduced in the first phase. The only other thing I would add is that we have a separate grant, which is now up to $1.15 million to pick up Passaic Street as well. It's a TAP grant, Transportation Alternative Program, that will be doing a streetscape, lighting, crosswalks, and a general pickup of the entire roadway from River Drive all the way up to Lincoln Place. So we just received an additional $350,000 today, I believe, from DOT. So in this section of the city, you'll be seeing a lot of work put into it. Again, it's all good news. It's in the form of grants. And like the first phase, the vast majority of the project is being undertaken with the benefit of grants. The roadway portion is funded by the county, and that's about $3 million. And they've told us that they will pay for that over the course of 3 funding cycles. We're expecting that this work would be permitted. It's getting into for permitting now. The design is done. The stormwater management, all of the drainage design has been completed. That's going in now, so we're expecting that we probably put this out to bid at the end of this year and break ground for construction in the spring. It's approximately a 6-month job. There's the retaining walls like the first phase. There's a lot of work there in terms of lead time to get those in. But after that, it'll sail pretty much the same way you saw the first phase. We know what we're running into. There's some utility relocations, there's a lot of drainage that goes in. This area is partially in the floodplain. There are some houses that have repeated losses that were not reoccupied because of the most recent flooding events, and they're under a separate program where Tom talked about getting $425,000. That's a program called Blue Acres, where they fund the acquisition of properties to be acquired that have repeated losses. So there's Blue Acres property, there's Blue Acres grants, there's Pikeway grants, there's this Passaic River Basin grant, there's Green Acres grants, and this kind of funding. There's all different funding that is being leveraged with each other to make this project possible. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them on the technical nature. Thank you.
For this only, if anybody would like to come on up and talk about the redevelopment on River Road?
Lisa Logan, 140 Main Street. On some part of River Road, would it be able to have enough space for maybe a basketball court for these kids in town? Being that that's the big thing in the town.
Kevin?
There really isn't room for a basketball court here. We looked at putting a basketball court on this project. As you can see, most of this little playground area is on the southerly side. And there's really just a tiny tail of it on the northerly side. That's essentially the dimension of a basketball court. There'd be no place to pull in off the road. It's really, there isn't room for one there. We're actually been looking for a basketball court. It's not that we're not suggesting one should go in, it's just it doesn't fit right here with the environmental restrictions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Mr. Pizzi.
Lawrence Pizzi, 107 Midland. That's what my concern, will any phase of this project be addressing any of the environmental issues running to that water underground? Because we all know that this is quite a hot spot. So even though we're doing all this redevelopment, if we're putting up retaining wall and we're going to be opening up the ground literally on the riverbank, there's a lot underneath from the chemical electroplating, and I believe there was another site involved where there was contamination added to that. How will that current contamination, once you open up that ground, are we going to be widening the plume, or will there be anything to address any further expansion of that plume?
As far as,
Can you turn that so people can see? Because nobody can see.
I'm sorry.
It's all right, it's probably an improvement.
Okay. The nearest site with a significant environmental concern is the former Kelowna site. That's at the intersection of Mill Street and River. It's this entire block area. It's a 4-acre site. The Kelowna site has been undergoing a remediation for at least 20 years. At least for 30 years. They do have a slurry wall, it's called. It's a cutoff wall that is put in along the westerly boundary and the southerly boundary to contain the contaminants that are on that property to that property. We routinely encounter materials that this is a county road. The county standard is, unless there's a waiver, whatever comes out of the ground has to be taken and not put back in the ground. So effectively, everything that comes out of the ground is transported, it's tested, transported, and disposed of in accordance with the regulatory requirements. So I think the biggest concern, quite candidly, is not spreading of anything. I think that the biggest concern is when you take things out of the ground, when you take dirt out of the ground that has been impacted, how do you dispose of it? Because the county says you can't put it back in the hole. And the answer is it's a cost. It's a cost that's factored into the entire project. Select fill has to be brought back in. And that is a cost that has to be reconciled. There's a cost for, there's 4 properties to be acquired as part of the $1.725 million, just like in the first section. They had to be studied. There was a Jim's Cars repair shop that was in phase 1. That had to be remediated. There was another piece of property that had to be capped. There were prior underground storage tanks that were involved that had to be pulled. And that is part of the process of repurposing this type of property to the use that we're talking about. As far as the chromium contamination goes, that's a groundwater issue. It's a multiples, many times more expensive to address. This will not neither help nor interfere with the water contamination concern that's part of the EVA Superfund. This does not have a bearing upon that particular issue.
So no part of this project is going to come in contact with the contamination caused by EC electroplating?
EC electroplating had discharges of hexavalent chromium into ground.
Yes, but what I'm talking about is the the depth and the breadth of it, because, well, how far does it go within this
According to
project?
the EPA, it goes underneath the said lip.
No, I mean, but as part of this project.
What we're doing is we are working in the top 8, 10 feet, excavating soil, putting in improvements, and testing that soil and getting rid of it. We are not changing the direction that the groundwater flows. We are not impacting, we are making the EC problem neither better nor worse by doing this project. We are removing what is very likely some impacted soils from the bed of the River Drive. And when we remove it, we test it and we dispose of it. So from that very limited role, there is a benefit of an environmental nature. But it is not helping or hurting the DC electric rate issue.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes, come on up, please.
Helen Nipatella, 246 Atwater Lane. I just want some clarification on something.
We can't hear you. What's your name and address?
Helen Nipatella, 246 Atwater Lane. I just want some clarification on something. You mentioned near Passaic Street, there were businesses that would be acquired or so-called unoccupied homes. Suppose there are homes that lie in that area that are occupied and businesses that are functioning. Are they going to be forced to leave? And if they don't want to, and you said there's going to be a requirement with monies, I guess, that you've gotten. What if they don't want to sell? Then what?
Okay, so we have been in contact with the various property owners or their attorneys. Mostly there's interest in selling at the right price.
Okay. And you...
Two of the buildings are abandoned. One residential structure is abandoned, one commercial structure is abandoned. They have not been able to be occupied since the last storm.
Okay, so there's nobody living over there that doesn't want to sell, is forced to sell because of eminent domain, for lack of a better phrase.
I'm optimistic in this section. I will tell you that when we did the Riverwalk Phase 1, we did file condemnation in 3 instances, and we we did move a couple of businesses, but we had to help them do that. So we worked that out. We did that here on the corner of River Drive and Outwater Lane, the Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Same thing. That was in the way of doing that whole block, so we were able to, the redevelopment agency authorized the filing, but it never took place. So the property owner then met with us and we were able to work it out.
Okay, thank you.
So our first goal is always to work it out.
Okay.
Is there anyone else? Okay, we'll close it to this, and now Tom will go up and talk about the city budget.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for your participation, and we will advise Green Acres that our hearing has taken place. I did report to the mayor and council before this meeting began. We have previously applied for and been awarded the sum of $800,000 for streetscape improvements on Passaic Street. That would have allowed us to do streetscape improvements from the intersection of River Drive and Passaic Street up to the railroad trestle. We are a municipality that is able to handle the administration of federally funded grants. To do that, I attended Rutgers with the council's blessing so that I could get the coursework done to be able to administer federal grants. Our first successful use of the federal grant process was the improvements around school number 4 and school number 10, which we still know as school number 9, but anyway, so those improvements, the sidewalk improvements, the intersection improvements, the speed bumps that went in were all part of a federally administered project. So we applied under a different program called the TAP grant, and we were awarded $800,000. Because it's difficult to get federal grants and to administer them,
and we've established a good relationship with the New Jersey Department of Transportation, which administers the grant in the state. With the assistance of Mr. Boswell, I went back and I applied for additional funding. And I'm happy to report that that application was made on April 9th, 2018. I confirmed this afternoon that they are raising the award from $800,000 to $1,150,000 to allow streetscape improvements all the way up to the intersection of Marcellus and Passaic Street. Additionally, I made application because under a federal project, your engineer cannot design it and then inspect it. So Boswell has done the design as requested by the governing body. Boswell has done the design. The inspection will be done by a separate firm. We will submit RFPs. The RFPs will be approved by the RFP is a request for proposals. We will submit a request for proposal. It'll be advertised, and people will be able to bid on providing daily inspection services on the entire project. I'm happy to report that we have also been granted whatever the funding is necessary to do all of the inspection work in connection with that project. So those are two very, very good developments. Thank you, Mayor, and with that, can I go into the budget?
Yes, you can.
So the city budget is something everyone is always concerned about. I have a few things to report to the members of the public who are here this evening. Last year, we generated a surplus of $3.6 million. I'm happy to report that this year we generated the highest surplus in the history of the city. We generated $4.2 million in surplus. In preparing this budget, the mayor and council have always made it clear to keep our services current, to not cut back our services, to add and improve where we can. The budget I presented to the governing body, which has been approved in Trenton already, provides for a tax increase of $49 for the average household. The average house in Garfield is assessed at $267,000. So it's $49 a year, less than $1 a week. I asked the mayor and council, in my typical budget presented every year, I normally anticipate that I will generate at least $3 million in surplus. So most purchases come across my desk, most purchases are approved across my desk, and we watch the money. We watch the money very closely. So this year, because we generated such a significant surplus, my budget proposes to use $3,550,000 of the surplus in this year's budget. The budget also proposes, rather than always bonding, we'd like to start getting away from bonding so much. So the budget also includes, we have a request from our police department and our police chief for additional security cameras all around the city. The budget includes $100,000 for those security cameras. The budget also includes $100,000 to enhance our recreation center. Our recreation center needs some work. We first did some work on it when I first became the manager back in 2003, 2004. It's time to get in and do some more work there. We have $150,000 of the surplus that we will use towards firehouse improvements. We have some increases in our costs. The reserve for uncollected taxes in my budget goes from $1.8 million to $1.9 million. The reason for that is, unfortunately, a large number of foreclosures. The people who are not foreclosed on pay their taxes and pay them great. So our tax collection rate is good, but I think we need to put $100,000 more into that fund just to make sure that we're solid. We are aggressively paying down the debt of the city. Last year, we paid down $1,990,000. This year, I propose in my budget to pay down $2,140,000. Again, there would be no cuts in services. Other municipalities have had problems, and I'm sure you've seen it in the papers. You have a big payout when somebody retires, and what do? You bond the money. In Hackensack, they had a situation where a bunch of people left, and they had to go out and borrow the money to pay those people the retirement funds they were due. What we have done is, we have established a terminal leave account so that the city of Garfield will not be in that position. And we fund it a little bit more every year to make sure that we have enough. You have some potential. There are, right now in our police department, there's up to 9 officers who could be eligible to retire. I am happy to report to you that typically what we do is we make a payment this year and then we make a payment next year, so the impact on the budget is less, and we don't have to go out and borrow money like other communities do. Hackensack is a prime example. You always look in the paper and you see Hackensack has all these retirements, Hackensack is borrowing the money to pay them. We have $780,655 in that account. Tax appeals. A lot of towns, you read about somebody wins a tax appeal, the town doesn't have the money to pay the tax appeal, so they wind up borrowing the money. We have $775,000 in our tax appeal account. A couple other things that we propose in this budget. We have to do some capital improvements. Our water department has a nice surplus. So from our water department, I'm taking $530,000 of the surplus and applying it to the budget. And if we didn't do this, the increase would be more. So we have the money in the water department to do that. And essentially, over the years, the city has borrowed for different improvements that it's done in the water department. Well 1A on the corner of Outwater Lane and River Drive. The reason you get good water out of there is because of that great purification system that we have there. So we've done some real enhancements to our water system over the years. But we need to do some more. So I propose to the mayor and council that we take another $500,000 from the water utility. And last year, I know a lot of people were upset because Public Service Electric and Gas came in and did a lot of gas line work in the city. And there were roadblocks and detours all over the city. Well, I got to tell you, because we worked so well with Public Service Electric and Gas, this year they're proposing to come in and work on 45 additional streets in our city. When they finish the work, more than 65% of the city will have new gas mains. So that's a great benefit to us. So I propose to the mayor and council that simultaneously with that gas work, if we're going to have this problem and we're going to have our streets torn up, let's do some lead line water work at the same time. So I've asked the Department of Public Works and the water superintendent to come up with a listing of those streets where there are still lead water lines, and we take $500,000 and get more for our money by doing it simultaneously with Public Service Electric and Gas. I've asked our city engineer to coordinate those efforts as well. Some of you who have been coming here for years know that we got a payment of $1,790,000 in connection with the Elmwood Park Waterworks. That money remains in the bank. I have proposed to the mayor and council that we consider the installation of new water meters in the city. Our water meters are failing. In a lot of instances, that results in an inaccurate bill, results in bill adjustments. It's not good. The other thing is this: if you do new water meter installation, you can then build a sewer based on usage. Right now, it's based on, are you a one-family home, a two-family home, are you a commercial property, what are you? So it would be able to be based on actual volume of usage. So that's something that I proposed, but it's not part of the overall budget. So, with that, I would report to the public that on the average home assessed at $267,000, in the year 2016, there actually was a $10 decrease. For the year 2017, there was a $55 increase, and this year we're proposing a $49 tax increase. Bear in mind that this is only the city portion of the budget. In terms of the county, while I have no official numbers, I'm sure you saw it all over the papers, the county executive announced that the county budget is flat. So we're anticipating that our increase would be flat. We don't know that yet. We do not have anything official, but we do have numerous press releases that indicate that the budget on the county is flat. So with that, I'm going to ask our city auditor, Mr. Lurch, to just address where this leaves us in terms of our surplus funds, what we have available, and any other comments he may have. You want to do it from there? Up here, wherever you want.
Yeah, I'll just take on. Thank you very much, Mr. Dutch. I'm pleased to report that, based on the budget that's presented to the mayor and council tonight, the city will still have a surplus remaining of $5 million in its general operating funds. In addition to the general operating funds, the city will also still have remaining a surplus of $3,496,000 in the water utility operating. So just rounding out, the city will be in terrific financial shape, even with providing all the services that were outlined by City Manager Tom Dutch. The total surplus remaining in the city will be approximately $8.5 million. This is very beneficial to the city with respect to the bond rating, which is a low cost of borrowing, results in a low cost of borrowing for the city. The city of Garfield's bond rating is actually superior to the state of New Jersey's bond rating. Garfield has a better bond rating than the state of New Jersey. And part of it is because of the responsible financial management of the city manager and as well as the governing body, because they vote on the ultimate budget. I just want to make one other additional comment, if I can, which is really beneficial to everybody in the city, and that is with respect to the ratables. And for those who are not familiar with the term, the ratables is the value of all the properties within the city of Garfield. And I think everybody has noticed that a lot of good things have happened in Garfield over the last couple of years. In 2018, the value of all the properties in the city of Garfield is $2 billion, that's with a B, $2,125 million. That's the value of all the property. The good news is that's an increase over last year of an additional $28 million. So what happens is, as a result of the redevelopment projects going on throughout the city, we have an additional $28 million worth of improvements that occurred throughout the year, and that in turn generates additional tax dollars that are used to offset any tax increase to the homeowners. That $28 million generates $336,000 just for municipal purposes, not including the school and the county purposes as well. So it does provide, development does provide additional monies for the city to offset any tax increase to the homeowners. That concludes my remarks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lurch. That was our city auditor, Dieter Lurch. Just one other comment, and that is that the budget fully funds the library. The library is funded at $787,000. Additionally, at the council meeting where we introduced the budget, we moved $150,000 into the library funding. Those of you who go to the library know that the library is exactly as it was when Mayor Rigolosi's uncle was the mayor 50 years ago, when he cut the ribbon and cut the cake. So, it's time to do some work in the library, so we have $150,000 that we moved last meeting. We have $315,000 that we bonded. Of that, we got $215,000 as a community development block grant to put an elevator in the library. So the plans are to work with the library board and put an elevator in, to put all new windows in, and to update the bathrooms, which you can hardly fit in. So that also is part of the budget. I want to thank the mayor and council for the benefit of the citizens and taxpayers. A request was made by the council to not vote on the final budget tonight, but to conduct the public hearing. So with that, Mayor, my comments are concluded.
Thank you, Mr. Dutch. We're going to open up to the public for the budget and the budget only. Would anybody like to come on up? I don't see it.
Dolores Capizzi, 107 Midland. With all the extra money in surplus, and with the intent of purchasing more cameras through the police department, I would like to know if we can implement, I don't even know if there would be a cost to it, but some neighborhood watch programs. Because I know that I have personally spoken to, oh God, I'm sorry. I forgot his rank. Gray?
Captain Gray. Captain Gray is our community...
And the
Yeah.
the other officer that works with him,
Stewart.
Stewart, yeah. I've spoken to the both of them, and they told me to come tonight and ask, and this kind of fits in perfectly. I don't know if there's a cost to it, but if there isn't, that might be a good mesh of two different types of avenues to solve whatever problems we have, or even prevent what we have. I would also like to know, as far as very dark areas in town, I'll be specific. At the dead end of Hepworth Place by the railroad tracks, there's telephone poles all over the place. But the lights that are on them are really, really dim. So I don't know if that's a cost to the city, maybe not. I know there are solar panels on those poles, but I think that if it doesn't cost us anything, maybe we could look into brighter lamps on poles that are in dark areas automatically, since we are looking for cameras, and we're looking to increase ratables, and we're looking to upgrade the look and the purpose and the services of the town. If there are things that we can do that do not cost anything, or maybe cost very little, can we put all of that together and make a complete package?
Can look at that.
Okay?
We'll look into it, Mr. Capizzi.
If we can meet sometime about a community watch, a neighborhood watch program, I'm not talking about, the sleigh wall walking around with the berets on. I'm talking about things that individual people could do and be made aware of in not only enhancing security, but also maybe taking some money off their insurance. Because the more you have on your home, you can get insurance deductions for that, like you do on the car. If you have an alarm on your car, you get a deduction.
Ms. Capizzi, we could look into the neighborhood watch program and the cameras and line up, but right now this is more on the budget.
Well, I'm saying this only because if they are not for free, maybe we can incorporate them. If it's a nominal fee, we might be able to incorporate them into a small portion of that surplus.
Yes, okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to come on up?
Mike Dennis Strand, 104 Palisade Ave, Garfield. I don't agree with the water meter, changing the water meters. As far as that's concerned, your sewer bill is going to go up. Passaic County has that, and I hear people complain over there. Years ago, our sewer bill used to be included in our taxes. That was part of your taxes. Then we had the sewer bill. Now you're going to have new meters, and you're going to have more water usage, and your sewer is going to be based on water usage. Everybody's sewer bill is going to be going up. Know that for a fact. Happens over there in Passaic County. So we're going to do it here now in Garfield. Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Denstra.
Another thing too, on this new plan that we're having over here on Passaic Street with the riverfront property.
Mr. Denstra, this is
I
on
want to
the...
talk about the Passaic Street Bridge with the flood that we had. Remember the flood with Sandy, Superstorm Sandy?
Yes, but this is on the budget. Mr. Denstra, this is on the budget.
Huh?
We're on the budget
Okay.
now. Thank you.
I'd like to get back to him on that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else? All right, I see no hands, we're going to close it to the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Proceed with resolutions, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Okay, resolutions number 135, 2 and including number 143, have the signatures of all the council members present, so if there's no objections, I will take one roll call vote on those resolutions. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Clarification again on 135, which is the resolution to adopt the budget?
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, you were correct. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
No 135. It'd be 136. I'm
So
sorry for that.
136,
143.
Yeah, to and including number 143.
I vote aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Erin Delaney. Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 4 ayes and 1 absent on the resolution so mentioned. We have a resolution authorizing the city engineer to provide design and construction inspection services in connection with the 2018 road and parking lot improvement project. The resolution is signed by council members Aloya, Rigoloso, and Joseph Delaney. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Erin Delaney. Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 4 ayes, 1 absent. Resolutions number 145 and number 146 have signatures of all the council members present, so without any objection, one roll call vote on those 2 resolutions. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Erin Delaney. Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso. Okay, we have 4 ayes, 1 absent. And we also have a resolution authorizing the hiring of Hendricks Appraisal Company LLC. The resolution is signed by Councilmembers Aloya, Rigoloso, and Delaney. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Abstain.
Councilmember Erin Delaney. Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 3 ayes, 1 abstention, and 1 absent.
Those in favor.
Yeah, okay, hold on a second. Okay, the mayor's called for bills and claims. Resolved by the City Council of the City of Garfield that the following bills, number 2094 to 2096, covering trust other, Community Policing Trust Fund, Dog Trust Fund totaling $1,215.05, and the current fund reserve totaling $49,246.78, and the current fund totaling $4,515,637.12, and the water fund reserve totaling $327.90, and the water fund current totaling $2,121,894.32, and the general capital fund totaling $343,270.51, and the water capital fund totaling $5,247.00 per attached computer list be ordered paid, and the proper officers are hereby authorized to issue checks for same, provided there are funds in the respective appropriations. Be it further resolved that the action of the mayor, city clerk, and city treasurer in issuing checks and payment on a ratification list, which includes 17 items prior to the meeting, be ratified. Bills and claims resolution is offered by all the council members present. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Yes, for the record, if there's any bill for the animal control officer, I know our CFO is not here this evening, but I would not vote, I'm voting no on that, but yes on the rest.
Okay, Councilmember Erin Delaney. Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, bills and claims are approved. Ordinances, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Okay, the following entitled ordinance was introduced at a meeting held on March the 13th, 2018. It was duly published. Copies were made available to the general public. Copies were posted on the bulletin boards in City Hall. Having complied with the law, this ordinance was not read in full. Actually, the public hearing was held at a meeting held on March 27, 2018, at which meeting the ordinance was tabled, and subsequently, the ordinance was also tabled at a meeting held on April the 3rd, 2018. And the city council, if it's their inclination, can proceed with the final passage, but I'm assuming this is going to be tabled.
Yeah, Tom.
Is there?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I met preliminarily with Lieutenant Michael Marsh. I would like the opportunity to go through the ordinance and the objections that were raised by council for one of the towers, and come back to you at the next meeting.
So we'll table.
So I would ask
Motion to table.
Table.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Aloya. Is there a second?
Second.
by Councilmember Joseph Delaney. On the roll call to lay the ordinance on the table, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney. Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso. Okay, we have 4 ayes, 1 absent. The ordinance is tabled. And finally, we have on introduction, bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of the tree planting program in, by, and for the city of Garfield in the county of Bergen, New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $270,000 to pay the cost thereof, to appropriate a state grant, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. This ordinance is introduced by council members Aloya, Rigoloso, Delaney, and Calandrillo. On first reading, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney. Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 4 ayes, 1 absent. The ordinance passes on introduction, and that concludes all written items for voting at this time. Mr. Mayor, members of the city council.
Okay, before I open it up to the citizens and taxpayers, Deputy Mayor Delaney would like to say something.
First of all, I want to say it's great to see so many people here for the budget hearing. This is the first. The reason why I wanted to address the crowd was because I wanted to address a letter that was passed out this weekend by Councilman Calandrillo and other authors. In the letter, it mentioned that myself, Councilwoman Delaney, and Mayor Riggs puts politics ahead of youth, environment, and history. First, I'd like to mention, my family started sponsoring youth teams in 1965. We continue that tradition today. That's 53 years of sponsoring youth organizations, which I believe is the largest in the city, and way before I got involved in politics. I coached my first Little League team in 1977, and I continued to coach until 3 years ago, when my job switched my hours. I couldn't coach anymore. Councilwoman Delaney participated in every single one of these organizations. And it wasn't that long ago either that she did, so she knows how important these organizations are. The mayor has 6 young children participating at this moment in all our youth organizations, so did he and his family for many years. To say we put politics ahead of our youth organizations is untrue. It was also mentioned that we put politics over the environment. Just so happens Councilwoman Delaney put together a green team with the help of the mayor to address issues concerning the environment throughout the city. Throughout the hard work, they just received a $10,000 grant to address environmental issues that never once was addressed before. Also, I would like to mention that we do believe in the city's history. At our first spring sports parade, when I was the mayor, I didn't hand out political literature. But what I did hand out was a resolution to the Little League president explaining to him the history of LaFossil Field and who it was named after. Many people didn't know who it was named after. It was named after a young man who got killed in the Vietnam War. That's history in Garfield. We decided to take a look at Columbus Field because of the fact we felt it was underused. We have Babe Ruth baseball there for many, many years. I played in it, I coached in it. And with the past several years, Garfield has, well, as many other teams, other towns, in our state, seen the amount of kids participating decline. This year we only had 7 kids sign up for baseball, which meant we didn't even have enough for a team. We need 9 kids to play baseball. So we decided to take a look at different options. That can be done on that piece of property. Just because we wanted to take a look at options doesn't mean anything. But I do feel to leave that piece of property vacant is the wrong decision to do. I mentioned last meeting and only what, it's only an ideal. What if we were to develop 2 acres of that 4 remaining properties? And leave the 2 acres of the 6 acres, all right, to leave the 4 remaining acres to be used as a community park like the one they have in Rutherford, with an amphitheater where we can have concerts, talent shows, farmers markets, or even a park for special needs kids. That was my daughter's idea. And with the money that we get from the development, we put right into our high school fields. Can you put the high school field up? This is what we have right now behind the high school. This is what we've been tossing around for 5 years, but never got accomplished yet. So what if we were to take the money that we got from that development, from that 2 acres, and decided just to direct that money right to that complex, right to that complex? We could have the best sports complex in the county, which can be used and enjoyed every day by 1,400 high school students every day, and thousands of residents every year, along with the 7 kids who signed up for Babe Ruth. Do we really want to help our city youth, or do we just want to help those who don't attend Garfield High School? I see our high school teams playing their home games all throughout the city. I see our track team running on our city streets to practice because they don't have a decent track. I believe that we can do better than that. I believe our kids deserve so much better than that. Our Board of Ed budget just got voted down again, so they don't have the money. Do we just give up? Do we just think, or do we think outside the box? This is just one vision for the future. It doesn't mean it will happen, but why not just consider it? We can consider everything and anything, and we will listen to everything and everyone. Nothing has been decided what to do at Columbus Field, but to do nothing is not the right decision also. Let's all work together to make Garfield an even better city than it is now. We can accomplish so much more when we all work together. And in closing, I'd like to thank you for listening to me. I never write a speech, this is the first. And in closing, I have been on the council for about 16 years, not as long as Frankie and Louie. But the majority of the time, I was the youngest member, I thought, bringing fresh ideas to the council. But, so I thought I was, but it wasn't until I was joined by a 26-year-old female with a degree, with visions for the future of our city that I never thought was possible until I listened to them. And then to have a father of 6 young children sitting in the mayor's chair that doesn't stop thinking of ways to improve our city, especially for our youth, even if it's crazy but great ideas that he does have. It's a very exciting time because they are new and unpolished so-called politicians, Aaron and Rich. They don't think about future elections, but instead they think about the future of Garfield. Again, I just want to say, let's please stop with all the negative, and let's start with more positive and come up with a positive solution. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Joe.
Mayor, if we're going to make speeches, may I make a speech?
Yes, you may.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I'm unprepared. I didn't know we were going totally out of order to do this, but that seems to be this council's MO, to do things totally out of order. The issue at hand is simple. We have a beautiful field on that corner. The Babe Ruth League has sponsored programs for 25-plus years and have done an outstanding job. It's going to change now, but not to development, not to condos. It should just change to a different sport, to a different number of people. This resolution that was proposed at the last April 3rd meeting, whether I agree with it or not is not the issue. Whether I think it's legally correct or not is not the issue. The problem with this ordinance is it says nothing of what you were just told. It says nothing about building anything of a sporting complex. It says we're going to sell it for redevelopment. Second, you cannot take Green Acres money from here and put it over there. You know why? It's like called Green Acres. I said, hey, if we sell 2 acres of this, could we put it on that field? They said, no, you can't do that. This has to be a net gain. You're losing something.
You're not gaining 2, you're losing 1. So that's not factual either. We also have a resolution, and here's where I have to compliment the council. I proposed at the last resolution that we stop it. Please, let's just stop. Let's talk to the sporting people that are involved, the rec people that are involved, the softball league, any league, the Vistula League, the rec center, the Boys and Girls Club. And we got 5 votes for that. That we can reach out to them. And you know what? We went there today to look at the field, to take some pictures, to say, hey, look, let's make a pitch to the council. I didn't know we were going to get into a family feud here. And you know what we found on the field today? Garfield High School kids practicing on your field. Without a problem. It was wonderful. The kids were out there using the field. Let them use the field. And you know what the other thing is, and I brought this up at a meeting. If anybody would like Dennis's flyers, Dennis did a fabulous job on the flyer. Not because the flyer is politically correct, but because it's from the heart. But I remember a gentleman in Clifton, and I've said this already. He had a factory in Clifton that wanted to expand the school. His factory was there for 100 years. Now they want to build a school next door. He says, you know what's going to happen? 10 years from now, you're not going to remember that I was here first. So you're going to say, let's get rid of the factory. You know what? There's something to be said to that. You have a beautiful ball field. Don't let anybody take it away from you. Don't let anybody compromise it. Because when you put one condo up, you know what the developer's going to say in 5 years from now? Hey, can I put up another condo building? It's all vacant land. You don't really have that many kids playing. Well, maybe you don't have that many kids playing because you chase them off the field. Don't chase them off the field. That's a great place for a basketball court. Let's put it back. There's an absolute lot of green there. Now, we had a basketball court on Emmanuel Street. I have to admit to everyone here, I voted to say close that one. You know, we put it in the wrong place. It was right by the neighbors. At midnight, the kids were out there bouncing the ball, playing, jumping the fence, diving in people's pools. Okay, not a good location for it. So we took out the basketball courts, we put in a parking lot for the ball field. I think it's a better utilization. I suggested that we put the basketball court right smack down in the middle of the 20th century field. That got voted down. Then it was said, well, we're going to put it by fire company number 3. I said, no, that's terrible because that creates another altercation with another utilization of services. But that field, you have a lot of grass outside the fence. You can recapture it, put the fence further out, closer to the sidewalk, so we don't have a ball running out, which is the terrible thing that happened today. We don't want any kids running out in the street. But it would compromise nothing. It would be a situation where no children would be doing anything, or adults, and that's usually our problem. It's not the little kids, it's the big guys that come in, but it's a safer place for them. It's a place where they're not going to make the noise that's going to bother homeowners of the houses, because you got roadway to protect it. It's such a beautiful spot. Put up a brick wall. I remember Red Simcoe used to have movies by number 3 school, which is right next to my house. All we need to do is put up a brick wall and give it to the rec department and say, put movies, we'll all sit on the grass. We had some beautiful programs on Spring Street, and I have to compliment the council, because I don't do it, I mean, it's everyone, and they approved the program. But the program was so close to the neighbors on Spring Street. It was so close to the people that lived there that it became difficult with all of the parking in the cars. That field is perfect. You have Outwater Lane on one side, Midland Avenue on the other, a factory and a railroad. Who's going to complain? We got complaints about the railroad making too much noise. So it's not like that's going to make too much noise. But please, all I'm asking the council to do, and the council said on April 3rd that we could go out, and we went out, and we asked everyone. We asked the rec, we asked the Vistula, we asked the YMCA, we asked the Boys and Girls Club. We really didn't get anyone that said no. Everybody said, in all due respect to Al Taney, everybody said, who's Al Taney's field? It really isn't, it's your field. But he volunteered for 25 consecutive years, so you kind of say, well, let's just back away from it. Okay, so we're not gonna fight him for it, but he wants to retire. So now it's your field. It's not condo, it's not to be built on condos. I can't imagine why anybody. Lastly, the city of Garfield has $8 million in savings. You really think you're gonna convince Green Acres that we need the money? You think they're gonna say, are you kidding me? You wanna take a ball field away? It's probably unheard of anywhere else. Now, this was brought up as far back as August of 2017. In August, we were in favor of it. It still moved to the planning board. I question how the planning board moved on the question, and that's why Frank and I are holding them accountable legally, not because there's no punishment involved. It's just, hey, we're not sure you did it by the book. So we're going to discuss that. But we can eliminate that whole thing if we can find one council person to agree with Frank and I and just say, cancel this resolution. We'll go back to the planning board and beg them to think differently of a ball field that has been in your possession since 1899. You're going to give it up now for condos when we don't need them? Look at the beautiful parks that you have on River Drive. It took us 30 years. Tom Dutch was the mayor back when Sal Burrell was working on the council. Back then, was it?
No, he wasn't on the council. Before
It was
me.
even before him. But there were plans that were in City Hall, in the mayor's office, that I found back in '96. And I said, look at the walkway, look at the riverfront. Well, it took us 20 years to get to that. But it was really worth doing it right. And it's an enhancement. I think that field, I'm no athlete. I'm the guy that sits on the sideline and eats, the hot dogs and drinks the beer. So I'm not saying it's for my benefit. But I know my grandkids love sports. They love doing the softball. Thank you so much. My grandson, he's been here 3 times because they win every year. And yesterday and today, as we're walking off the field, the coach from the middle school, who was practicing with his kids on City Field, said, we won the championship in 2006 on this field. Please, don't give it up. Ask the council to re-vote and just say no to this resolution, bring it back to the planning board, and let's do something for the kids, for the sports. Let's not make it a political football. Let's make it a kids' football.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Mayor. Go ahead, Frank. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here this evening because this is something that means a lot to us as council people, and obviously to you as the public. Were there leaflets passed out at the Little League grand opening? Absolutely. But you know what? In my time, and it's even going back as far as many years, this is the first time parkland was ever considered in the city of Garfield to be turned over for redevelopment. What does redevelopment mean? It's not fixing the park. It's not beautifying the park. We did that on Belmont by the Little League field. We did that at Century Field. We did it with our engineer. Mr. Boswell got an award for the Little League field for the design. Am I correct?
Yes.
We didn't have to go to redevelopment. We didn't have to go to a developer. But never in my years did I ever thought I'd be arguing this point. Because to me, it was one of the things that you never considered. Never considered giving up a 100-year-old park. And that's what it is. Back in 1913, this property was purchased by the city from, I believe it was Belmont Land Company. I don't know what the price was. It was a deed that was supplied, but this is how old this field is. This is a field that has our well, the water table. This is a field that many of our young kids have played on. The years of struggling with the Babe Ruth probably have come to an end. There will not be any Babe Ruth baseball this year. But that's no reason to blow up the field. That's no reason to give up the field. And as far as what we see here with the high school, listen, we've been trying to improve the high school field as far back as when I was still the mayor. When I left as the mayor, there was $3.5 million, as was said by school administrator, I believe it was Mr. Isbicki, for the field. It never got done. It never got done, so now we're still looking at this. But there's a problem with the timeline, because talking about redeveloping the field, and Mr. The lawyer's date is accurate, it's as far back as August of 2017. And with that being said, this is the first time I'm hearing about using the money for the Babe Ruth field to fix the high school field. Up until the end of February, it was going to be an agreement with the Garfield City to acquire the Green Acre bond of $1 million, and the Board of Ed was going to finance it. What happened there? Only our board could answer. Mr. Everett Garnto said that it was pulled off the table, and not by him, by the board president. So the timetable doesn't add up. The money doesn't add up. The assessment on that park that we're speaking of is $2.7 million, right? I think it's worth a hell of a lot more. I think it's worth into the millions, but still, this park here we're talking about is $6 million. That's what it would cost to do the entire project. But we still don't have to give up what we have to get what we need in the future. There are other options, and I want to explore those options. I want to do whatever we possibly can. So to say that we have to do this for a better field, the only one that ever will benefit on this deal is the developer. Because what he's going to have these grand luxury apartments with a beautiful front lawn, which is our old park, which will be not able to be used for much more than looking at it and grazing through it. There's so much more we could do. The ideas that Mr. Delaney had, I like those ideas, but let's do it with the entire 6.7 acres, not with 4 acres or 3 acres. And then what happens to our relationship with Green Acres? Green Acres, they're still not even notified. We talk to people down in Green Acres, they say, wait, we don't even have notification yet from the city. So as far as they're concerned, they're not weighing in, because we have not even reached out. Now, do we burn the bridge with Green Acres? To date, since Mr. Dutch is here, I believe the number was $7 million that we have been given by Green Acres. And why is that? Why is it that Mr. Dutch could call them up and say, look, we wanted the money directed to the high school, but now we need to divert it to the river because it's just not working out? It's because of a good relationship. It's a good relationship with the city of Garfield and Green Acres. Why? Because we've always done the right thing by way of Green Acres, and they have always considered the city of Garfield as a good place to put the money. And this is something that I am very passionate about. We cannot go forward and blow everything that we have worked for. I want to keep our park, and I want to improve our high school field. And we got to put our heads together and get it done. You know, we have a $104 million budget. Maybe certain portions of that needs to be set aside for school repair, fields, and let's go back after the grant, and let's have a board that will support us and make the agreement as we talked about. We talked about it for 3 meetings. 3 meetings, we talked about working out something where they would make the payments, we would secure the grant money, and it would be a city field restricted by permits. They get the permits first, obviously, because for high school sports, but that fell through. So I'm not going backwards, I want to go forward. But I will say this. At the end of the day, in the city of Garfield, we have a green team, and there's some good things. $10,000 grant is great, but I don't think green team should even consider selling our property. The other day was Earth Day. You know, we're not going to get this property back. This property, once it's gone, it'll just be talked about. It'll just be talked about, the memories of Columbus Field, Citi Field, and I just think that we could do a lot better. I think we have so much opportunity, and Mr. Lawyer said it well. You know, if we were in dire straits, we needed the money, then we have to sell our assets to keep the protection of our taxpayers, so that the taxes aren't going through the roof. That's not the case. We have been we've had a plan for the last 15, 20 years, and the plan is to have smart redevelopment, to have development that you're not going with eminent domain. And everything we've talked about, right? They may have talked about eminent domain on one lease, on a property, on one business, but we have never exercised eminent domain on redevelopment projects. We worked with these people. We worked with the property owners. We got to where we are today. Why do we have $8.5 million? Because we had a plan. This wasn't just thought of last night. This was a long-range plan, and we stayed true to it. And we need to stay true to preserving what separates Garfield from every other Bergen County town? I say, number one, it's our volunteers. Number two, our parks. Nobody has the parks we have. And I want to keep it that way. We go, I coach football. We go up Bergen County to very wealthy communities. We are the poorest community in Bergen County. You know what? You read the stats, you see it. We go to the wealthiest communities, they don't have the fields that we do. That is a statement. That's a statement that we have done our job up here. And I want to continue that as open space. I think we have very great opportunities going forward. Louise Wright middle school team was practicing there. The high school, we have a freshman team, a JV team, a varsity team, and a middle school team. And what are we going to have, one hardball field throughout the whole town? And not have no baseball for anybody that leaves Little League? No more baseball for these kids? That field is booked up until October 15th for every Sunday. So how in God's name is this field underutilized? I feel the study is flawed. Just because the mayor and the deputy mayor sign it, doesn't mean it's true. We had one organization that had and struggled. Just because you have a bad tenant, doesn't mean you destroy the house. Right? You bring in other tenants, other uses. If they could play soccer and baseball in Yankee Stadium, or football and baseball in Yankee Stadium, guess what? We could do it at Columbus Park. So, thank you, Mayor, I appreciate the time.
Well, I'll make my comments, and then I'll open it up to the public. Frankie, you're right. Let's not go backwards, let's move forward. And you were talking about parks in the upper Bergen County and our parks here. You're right, our parks are a lot better. Columbus Field is not a park. It's a field. And it is booked every Sunday until October. And every Sunday to October, only 18 people are going to be using that field. We're allocating 6 acres for 18 people.
That's from out of town.
And then they're all from out of town. Thank you. And, I ran for council because there needs to be change in Garfield. And, there has to be change because we can't stay stagnant. I lived in Garfield all my life. My kids are growing up in Garfield, and we need to move forward. And, I see Columbus Field, and it's not utilized the way it should be utilized. If this never comes to fruition, and for some reason the lawsuit wins or we drop this, it's still not going to be a field. We got to change this whole diagram, and this will be a park. It will be a large park. We have to do something different in there where everybody could use it, not just 18 kids and that's it. I do want a basketball court in there, Lou. And a basketball court we have to figure out a whole new dimension of that field.
I'm with you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Good, I'll make a motion to
We're finally on agreement. Well,
rescind 18-133.
no, listen, thank you, Lou.
I'll second that.
All right. But, I'll wait. Thank you, everybody. You know, I would like this to be turned into a multi-purpose park that's, for children, kids with disabilities, and, it's only 2 acres of land. That means we gotta find 4 acres somewhere. And the high school field where it will be utilized by the 5,000 students, all the residents, that may be the best solution. I don't know. And I'll go back to the Green Acres, that we're just looking into things. It's good to see everybody here. It's good to see that people are talking about it. It's good to see Councilman Aloya and Calendro, they're passionate about it, just like we are passionate about it. It's finally that people are talking about something in Garfield, for good, bad, or indifferent. People are talking about it in Garfield, and that's a positive. I don't know what the future's gonna hold for Columbus Field, but we need to do something in Columbus Field. And me personally, I see it as, if we could take 2 acres and develop that, 4 acres become a great park for everybody to be used, we grab 8 acres somewhere, but if it doesn't happen, I'm not gonna cry over it. That Columbus Field needs to be utilized for everybody, not just a specific, baseball team. If we do change it, it won't be just for baseball, it'll be a park for everybody, because we do have great parks in our town. It's about moving forward. It's about moving forward. Garfield's been standing still for a long time. We had some development on empty lands or where warehouses were, and now we got to continue. We just can't stand still because we have a Wawa or we have a Kmart. We got to continue moving forward with Garfield, or else we're going to get lost in Bergen County again. So, with that just said, I'm going to start opening this up to the public. So if anybody would like to come on up. Dennis, I see your hand.
Dennis Malicki, 54 Maple Place in Garfield. Mayor, council, Rich.
Yep.
I understand what you're saying, but you keep using the term moving forward. And I myself, and I think the majority of people that I've spoken to, can't understand what condominiums in Citi Field mean to moving forward. I don't know how that moves forward to this town. The field, again, we've said it ad nauseum, 101 years. You guys don't have the right to sell it. When you're talking about redevelopment, you're talking about selling Citi Field or parts of it, or you're saying 2 acres. You take 2 acres, it's actually 4 is what you guys talked about. You got to give 8 back to Green Acres. I ask you, Joe, Rich, where do you plan? And I'd like to know, for the people in this room, where do you plan on getting the 8 acres to give back to Green Acres? Where are you going to get 8 acres together? And Green Acres already made it clear to us that those have to be an 8-acre parcel, not 2 acres here, not on contaminated land, not a warehouse that we're going to rip down. 8 acres. My question is, where are you going to get the 8 acres? What is your plan for the 8 acres to get back to Green Acres?
No, we'll answer. Dennis, we're going to answer everybody's questions afterwards, after everybody gets to speak, so we'll answer that as well.
So don't ask questions?
No, you can ask questions, we're just going to write them down, and everybody, all the council will answer it together.
Okay. And listen, this was a little caveat today, and I didn't have no plan on even bringing this up, but we met today with the various sports organizations that are interested in using the field. The YMCA, the Rec Center, Unico, who else is there? I'm sorry. Boys and Girls Club. There are a number of organizations in this town that can't wait to get into that field. So Rich, where you're saying 16 people, not true. that field can be utilized. But again, we have to come together, the organizations have to come together, and the field will be utilized. The field can be a gem. It can be an absolute gem. And, you know, it's just ironic that you use the word gem with a baseball diamond. You never heard of a condo gem. So, listen, selling the field, you guys don't have the right to do that unless you've got some kind of reason that can get past the majority of the people in Garfield to sell their land. You're asking the taxpayers to give up their land for condominiums in City Field. And Joe, you talk about history. Whatever history you mention, I'm sorry, but this is part of Garfield. This field is part of Garfield. It's been a cornerstone of our community for 100 years. I just can't get past the fact.
Dan, and so is the high school, Dan, and so is the high school field. That's history too. But does that serve our kids right now, Dan?
Compromise one field, you want to compromise one field to add to another, and that doesn't make sense. You're an elected official. You need to develop that, I agree with you. Our high school kids deserve better, but you got to find a way, other than selling off our property, our parkland, our recreation. And again, it's not me, it's these people here, it's their land, and you need to ask them if you can go ahead and sell that property. It's wrong. But listen, while we're there entertaining or not entertaining, finding out what else can be used in there, and again, they were more than receptive to want to use that field. I had a 13-year-old girl come up to me, Danny Rosenthal's daughter, and she's a member of the middle school. She gave me a petition, and she said, Mr. Malicki, please, present this to the council tonight, and it says save our baseball field. It's got 64 names from middle school kids, and it's here for it. 64 names from kids from the middle school asking to present this to the council so that we preserve that field. And again, when you got a kid coming up to you with that, but that's just, again, caveat to this. My real question that I have here tonight is for the city attorney. And Mr. Ferraro, I need to ask you a question regarding the planning board vote. And my question is, sir, after review of, and I'm sorry, I gotta get my glasses. There was a planning board vote conducted in January, and it failed. It failed because what I believe were abstentions, but for whatever reason, it failed. Then there was another vote taken, I believe, and I don't know for sure, that in February, another vote was taken, and then it miraculously passed. And from what I understand, it passed because the abstention votes became yes votes. And according to municipal law, the only way that can happen is if the abstention votes were cast with no good reason. And my question is, to get those two yes votes, was it addressed by you or the council or the planning board regarding the issue of the abstaining votes to be converted into yes votes? And again, I need to know that that vote was conducted in proper protocol and met statutory provisions. Because if this council voted to pass the resolution based on the planning board vote that was conducted illegally, we have no reason here. There is no resolution. The planning board vote failed. And my question is, did you advise the council that statutory provisions were met in these two votes in order to pass that resolution?
I advised the council that the planning board adopted a resolution referring the matter, declaring the area and need of rehabilitation. And,
Could you speak up?
yes, that the planning board adopted a resolution that there was confusion about the interpretation of the vote. That confusion was clarified by the planning board attorney, and I advised the council that the resolution was properly adopted by the planning board.
That the revote took place and
I don't
was
think there,
properly adapted?
I don't think there was a revote.
Well, it failed the first vote.
Well, I don't think it failed. I think what happened was there was a
I've got a letter here from Alyssa Semino that says the vote failed, 5-4.
Right, but did you see the second letter from Ms. Semino?
No, we've requested all transcripts, minutes, whatever have you from the following meeting, and we didn't get anything yet.
Can I just,
That's the-
Dennis, the planning board was a 4-3-2.
Sorry, what,
The
Rich?
planning board's vote was 4 in favor, 3 for not in favor, and 2 abstained. That was the vote. Not 5-4.
It failed 5-4 on the first one.
No,
Okay?
the problem with,
I'm reading right
So,
here
sir-
from Melissa Semino. 5 votes in favor were needed to pass a resolution, but the application only had 4 votes in favor, therefore the application did not pass.
that was a misinterpretation of the vote. The actual abstentions counted with majority, and therefore it was 5.
So wait a
3.
minute, you're telling me that the planning board attorney made a misrepresentation?
I believe that she didn't make a misrepresentation. She corrected a misinterpretation.
Okay, and again, I needed to try to get an interpretation because from what we know and the information made available to us, this vote failed and then was taken a month later, and then it passed.
That's not
And sir, my question is...
No, excuse me, that's not accurate, though.
And
Yeah.
I'd appreciate an explanation if it's not.
It's not because there wasn't 2 votes. The voting the first time, the way it was counted was misinterpreted, and then the interpretation was corrected.
At a later vote, or
No, there was no other vote. It was just,
at the same meeting?
I'm not sure exactly where it happened. I think it was subsequent to that.
It was the second meeting.
Yeah.
There was a second-
It was the second scheduled meeting, the planning board meeting, and Ms. Semino went over the interpretation.
And Rich, did that second meeting where it was passed, did that meet proper protocol in making the public aware that there would be a second vote because the first one failed?
There was no-
Or a misinterpretation?
There was, sir,
Then there was
no second vote. You keep saying there was a second vote. Ms. Semino misinterpreted the vote and the way the vote was counted. And at the next meeting, she properly interpreted the vote for the planning board, and the resolution was corrected.
And what happened to the votes that abstained?
They were counted towards a majority.
And was it discussed, or was there an explanation that those abstaining votes were then converted to yes votes because they were cast with no good reason, which is required by law?
I don't know. I wasn't at the planning board meeting.
Rich?
You have to say it again, Dylan.
Okay, the votes that were cast in abstaining,
Yes.
in order to convert those votes to yes votes, those votes have to be determined they abstained because they could not give a good reason in abstaining, so therefore they get converted to yes votes. Was it addressed to the abstaining board members of why they failed to vote, which is required by law? It's either they voted for no good reason, and therefore those votes converted to yes votes.
I don't know why the two members abstained.
3.
No, it's 4-3-2, 2 abstentions.
3 members abstained. And they were
4-2-3.
Jim Clark, Luann Vistotsky, and Peter Shannon.
Okay, so it was 4-2-3, I stand corrected. So,
Listen, I really, really think that before this lawsuit keeps going, that you guys take a really good look at the legality of that planning board vote. Because what we're seeing, that it wasn't legal, didn't meet procedure. And therefore, what you voted on to pass the resolution for City Field was based on the planning board vote that was done illegally.
I understand that. So the vote was 4-2-3. Ms. Semino corrected, I guess I don't know how she got it, but she figured it out that the 3 abstentions become a yes vote. Well, the abstentions go to the majority, and the majority was for yes, according to planning board bylaws.
Okay, planning board's bylaw. Give me 1 second, Rich. Again, okay. Members of the planning board of adjustment may abstain from voting. While there have been no reported cases on the effect of such abstination, members of board should be aware that under common law, the rule is that a member of a public body, such as the planning board, for example, who abstains from voting without good cause, disqualification for conflict, is counted towards a quorum and is regarded as having assented to the vote of the majority. Okay, which you're saying happened.
Right.
However, it has to be said that the abstentions were done without good cause. So my question is...
At this point, sir, I would have to advise the council that there's pending litigation in this matter, and we're going to have to...
Wait, I'm sorry, sir, could you speak?
There's pending litigation in this matter, and we're going to have to...
I'm asking for an explanation. And my question to you is, were these votes that the people abstained from, were they asked why they abstained? Because we would have to show that they abstained for no good cause. So Jim Clark would have had to say, I abstained just because I don't want to be part of this. And that's what would have had to happen for his vote to become a yes vote.
Well, that's your interpretation. I don't agree with you, sir.
You know, but I just read you the law.
Right, but I don't agree with your interpretation or your question. And I'd further advise the council that this matter's in litigation, and we should just address it in the litigation.
Okay, and for the record, again, I believe this planning board vote should be challenged, and probably will do so. Perhaps maybe this could be discussed internally before it goes to Superior Court. If we're going down that road and hopefully taking this housing off the table to begin with. And listen, just a couple other things. I talked to rec directors in 3 different towns today, and I swear to you on anything, I could not get a recreation director that ever had heard of a municipality turning over recreation parkland converted to housing, ever. They do anything for open field, anything for parkland, and we're selling it. There's an article today.
Dennis, please address us. Thank you.
In the paper today, there was the lawsuit. In a further part of the paper in North Jersey Sports, the headline in that next section was Pascack Hills cherishes its first ever softball court. Pascack Hills waited 46 years for a field, a baseball field. They had people crying at the christening yesterday, crying. They were so happy to get a baseball field. And we're selling one? We're giving one away for asphalt and concrete? Every rec director I ever talked to cannot fathom what's going on in Garfield to sell off recreation parkland. It's unfathomable. That's my own word. They don't know that it ever happened. You can't give this park up. It'll be developed We'll do the right thing by it, we'll get committees out there, we'll get kids on that field. It's not about a Babe Ruth thing, it's not about under usage. And I gotta tell you, we care, Tom Dutch works his butt off to get this money and everything else from Green Acres. Totally appreciate that. We've got a reputation. Our reputation now is tarnished when other towns thinks we're selling parkland. And it just doesn't bode well anywhere. And to be honest with you, it's kind of embarrassing that we're giving up open field parkland for commuters. City of champions, city of commuters. Come on. We just developed 255 units for this freaking train and whatever, between Garden State and Walnut Street. 75 units in Walnut Street for the train already? And now we want to give them more? Come on. Please reconsider. Let's work together. Take housing off the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
No, I'm leaving the table.
Thank you, Dennis.
Lisa Logan, 140 Main Street, Garfield. Okay, so we're looking for this, I'm more practical. I don't have no big words and fancy words and nothing like that. But we're looking to take this land that the kids have been playing on for so long. We all say these kids have nothing to do with this town. They don't have nothing, they don't have nothing, they don't have nothing. So we take something that they have away from them, then they still have nothing. So, we're gonna take this field because of 1 year we couldn't fill it with kids playing baseball, which is pretty saddening, by the way. And we put condos on it. So not only that we put condos on it, then we have people come into town that they're living there, that overpopulate our schools, that we still have more kids that we have nothing for them to do, and we put condos on there. I say we build a better park if we have to. Put a pool there for our kids to do during the summertime. Put, like you said, a basketball court there for our kids to do. We need something for our kids to do so they don't go in the middle of the street and get hit by a car and then we don't see our kids every day. Because there's nothing for them to do. Everybody don't play baseball. Everybody don't play basketball. Everybody don't play football. So build another park there. And I hear, we're saying about the kids who have disabilities and things like that. We could implement that in other parks and do other things, but we could also do something with that field other than put a whole bunch of buildings on. When people come to our city and they come down Atwater Lane and they see all the different things that we have on that field, I'm pretty sure they look at it and say, wow, Garfield has an awesome field here for these kids to do. We have to look at it like that. We sit here and we yell, kids, 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 but we're looking to put money and revenue in the town and we don't care nothing about the kids. So at the end of the day, if we're screaming kids and that's what it's supposed to be about, then it needs to be about the kids and build a better park and not just give it up to a whole bunch of people that's gonna come in here and build condos, put money in their pocket and take money out of our pockets. Because if we put something there, something that is gonna cause revenue for the kids, like a pool or something to make our rec center, something for the town, then not only that, you have happy taxpayers that don't mind giving to the city of Garfield because we're building back into our community. These kids are our future. We're gonna be old and decrepit and these kids are gonna be here trying to take care of this town. We have to think about their future and not just think about our pockets.
Thank you, Lisa. Lou, I know you'd like to come on up and address us, so come on up, let's get this over with.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, Lou.
Yes, Mike, wait.
Name and address.
Yes, Louis Alina, 169 Harrison Avenue, Garfield. I realize that, Mayor, once I've left the table, I can no longer return this evening. I'll have to wait for the next meeting. With all due respect, I have sat on this council for all of the years that you have been mayor, and I have tried to offer you the utmost respect and my vote. You've appointed me to absolutely nothing. I don't care. You've now taken my grandkids' ball field away. What are you thinking, Mayor? It's not necessary. You have $8 million in the bank. Rescind the resolution. The deputy mayor has some plans that he put together with his daughter. They're beautiful plans. I can't say that they're not. Let's do those plans. With all due respect, we are not the school board. The school board's job is to take care of the school board field. We can't take one field away to give it to another field. It doesn't work. Mayor, I know you love your children, but you can't say to one, I'm not going to do anything for you because I want to do something for these 5. That's just not the way it works, Mayor. We have $8 million in a savings account. You announced it tonight. That's admirable. Take credit for that. You've done a fine job. Can't say you haven't. Tom Dutch has done a fine job. The council, over all the years that all the other council people and all the other mayors have been here. In 1996, we had to borrow $1.7 million just to balance our checkbook. We didn't have enough money to pay our own bills in 1996. And here we are with $8 million in savings. That is outstanding. We don't have to sell 2 acres for condos for any reason whatsoever. Of all the issues I have lost the arguments on, I respect you for that. This one, I just can't let it go. It just isn't worth letting go. It doesn't make any sense why we need to do it. I'm asking you publicly, just put it on the next meeting. Rescind that resolution, we'll all come to the planning board, we'll discuss it with the planning board, we'll try to do a better job of coming up with plans. I know the rec people, I know the YMCA people, I know the Boys and Girls Club people, all have anxiously waited to get access to that field. That's all, but they would never turn and ask Al Tanny to leave. They would never throw him off that field. Maybe that was foolish on our part, but it was respectful on our part. Offer us the same respect. Just give us a chance. Rescind that resolution, let us go in front of the planning board, and let us see if we can figure out something other than you selling 2 acres for condos, and you think that's going to fix that field. That's, with all due respect, not our issue, not our field. Let's put the money back in that field. Let's do the things that need to make that field the field you want it to be. Oh, and by the way, the 18 people that were on the field today are all your residents. They're not out-of-towners. Every last one of them was from your middle school, by the way, and your middle school coach practicing on that field. So before you say it's underutilized and it's used by strangers, come to the field. Please, just rescind the resolution. It solves a multitude of issues, gives everyone here in the room a chance to address it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Lou, you mentioned that it's not our problem. High school kids are our problem. They're our kids, Lou. Just because they go to the high school doesn't mean they're not our kids. Okay.
Christine Drakeford, 196 Shaw Street. I know that, I see a lot of, you guys all volunteer, and I know that. I'm not a speaker, so my voice gets shaky, I'm sorry. I have 2 boys in town, both are in high school. You know how many kids make the high school basketball team? Less than 20. My kids that grew up with the boys club, they always played, they aged out of the boys club. You know where they can play now? Not too many spots, not on a Saturday, where are they gonna go play basketball? That's what they love, and I just can't see getting rid of even those 2 acres. I'll say, when you first spoke, I was almost feeling swayed by the beauty of the thought of the fields and everything. But I also, a few years ago, called this offices, and I was told We have nothing to do with that. That has to be school board. That has nothing to do with this. That's only done by the school. So I have to agree to let that be with the school, and to please listen, to please think of what we're all saying. It's not, humility is fine, just let it go, and let's try to redo it. Let's not worry about what those three undecided votes were. Let's redo it, and let's do really an amazing park for our kids, because my kids have grown up here, born here, and they need a place to play basketball. They need a place to go. I don't want them in the house. You know where they go to play basketball? Take them to Lodi. Take them to other towns to go play basketball, and that's a shame. And I know there's a little time that they can go to the high school, and I know I've been told this when I called, oh, because the nets are down. Remember the nets down? Oh, because they're just going to break them anyhow. Well then, those cameras we're putting up, let's put them on our courts, and let's give my boys and all these other kids a place to play basketball, a place to play ball. Put up that wall, let them watch the films there at night, let them play ball, whatever that thing is, musical ball against ball, but give these kids some other choice. Take the high road, rescind this BS, and do what's best for our community. And I do appreciate I know the volunteer hours that you've put in and all that, and I appreciate it. My husband, you know, he's a coach for years. My kids have grown up with the football. We do have an amazing football team, whether you realize it or not, because I've been to all the towns all over. But we don't have a place for them to simply go play basketball. We just don't have that, unless they're going to jump over a fence and then try to play, and police have to look the other way, just because they know they want to be good at heads and they just want to be able to play instead of home playing video games. So I ask you to listen and do what's best for our children and our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Strickland.
If I just could just answer one question. If we did decide to do the high school field, that does become a city field, which means every single resident, every single child in the city can use that field. That will become a city field, not just for the high school.
Hi. Just say your name and address, please.
Jeannie Cassiano, Dante's mom, everybody knows him. Hi. Okay, so I know.
And the address?
Oh, I'm sorry, 41 Harrison in Garfield. Everyone knows my son is in college now, and the majority of them. But that part is where I go every morning at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning just to walk around it, to get my exercise done. And I see people by the bus stop or whatever. Yes, the fence is there. Knock it down. Open it to the public. Put a doggy park, put a basketball court, put something there is what I'm asking. We're always saying that the kids have nothing, and they don't. Once they age out of the Boys and Girls Club or Little League or the YMCA, they really don't have anything. My son has been on every field in this town. My son grew up here, not me, but he did. This town has given my son a childhood. I didn't have to worry about him being on the streets or walking the streets or having to take him to another town just to play another sport. We did it here in Garfield. It saddens me that the older kids don't have anything in this town. You said that that's going to be open. Right now it's half the time closed to our kids to play at certain times. On a nice day, Danhart Park, Lake, Pond, whatever, it's crowded with little kids on the swing set. Yes, nice, it's beautiful to see everyone there buying ice cream, you know, doing everything, but why can't we do it with the one in the corner? We have the hot dog truck there, let's bring somebody else there and we can have some tables and chairs, whatever, something different. It brings more life to that side of town. It really does. Spring Street, or is that Spring Street? Little League, it is closed when the kids are not using it. So it's not open to anybody if we want to use it at a certain time. And I don't think that's right for our kids. And My son right now is an architect major. Someone here in Garfield just contacted my son, and I didn't know, to expand their property to open it up to more kids. It's a church who wants to give back to the community, to have a little basketball thing in their church behind it. My son said yes, and now they're drawing up plans. My son is more than happy that if he was given the opportunity to give back to this town, he would. He would. But not to build condos or houses. He wants to give that back to the Boys and Girls Club, to the children, to all. You coach my son for football, to everyone. But if that one person can reach out to my son and make me the happiest person, because my son's gonna make a difference and give back. That's what we want to show our children, no matter how old they get. And they are our future. So I think we should rethink how we're gonna do that to keep it as a park open to everyone. Not fenced in, not timed, open to everyone. I think we all can say we're human enough to keep it clean and green. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Logan.
316 Malcolm Ave, Garfield, New Jersey. Everybody knows me. I just want to say, this goes back years and years and years to the Boys Club. When one went back into the red, the YMCA took the pool. There's no more family swims. There's no more programs for the kids. We don't go to Yankee Stadium anymore. We don't go to the roller rink. They don't do nothing. There's nothing for the kids to do. Now this place here, you're going to get a big lawsuit from one of them kids climbing that fence and one of them busting their head open because they want somewhere to play and there's nowhere to play. You put a parking lot there, you covered up Somerset Street, you covered up Malcolm Ave. There's no basketball courts. Find something for these kids to do. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Fess. Ms. Capizzi?
Lawrence Capizzi, 107. I think that we're forgetting that the reason why we even have to have these conversations is because we closed all our playgrounds behind the schools. All of us grew up playing at the playground. And over time, through no fault of anybody, insurance companies said, you can't have the kids playing there after a certain hour. We have more kids now than we did before, with less space than we did. So, Mr. Delaney, I like a lot of what you said. However, I think that if we look at the entire property, our kids go out of town to play soccer. We have amazing soccer players in this town, our children. Maybe we can open it up and have games there. If we had a concession stand, we could generate money from people who come to the games. We can utilize it as a baseball field or, go back and forth between seasons. I'm not a field person, but I know that if we alternate, we can keep that concession stand going, which would generate revenue. I also think that we need to look at other towns, because you said, let's think outside the box. Let's look at other towns. I went up to Rochelle Park. They have got such an amazing facility, a swimming pool, and it's clean, and it's very regulated. People do pay for it. I don't believe it's for free. It's a nominal fee. We have the little spray park for the kids. But then, once they get to be a certain age, they're not going to go over there and just get sprayed. They want to swim outside. We could also have the basketball court here. Why don't we make it multi-purpose? We could have some concerts there like Lodi used to do. If we open up the concession stand, we could generate money. I just think there's so much creativity at our fingertips that we don't just have to keep giving out. We can actually have revenue We have a park designated for dog poop near Walmart. Maybe we could do something with that, and it doesn't have to generate dog poop. It might be able to generate revenue. So let's just think outside the box,
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you, Ms.
You know,
Queen.
the kids really don't have a place to play anymore, and it's nobody's fault, except that's the way the insurance company chose, the companies choose to operate. It's not pointing fingers at anybody, it's not our fault, but we do have this, we still have the responsibility to generate income and to make everybody in the community have a place for recreation, including the seniors. They can go, you could have senior swim day. You know, there's just so much that we could do. Please rethink that.
Thank you, Mr. Wizard.
Actually, Ms. Capizzi, if you could, Ms. Capizzi, I've been trying to get Dolphin Park converted into a soccer field, but that's one of the things that we are looking at, Dolphin Park right off Lanza Ave. So, that's supposed to be just for soccer.
And we have treasures in our kids, and we have really good teams in different sports. We need to reallocate that. We need to take care of it.
Sharif?
Sharif Mealy, 240 Malcolm Ave. So you're telling me we have a school being built, so we don't have enough room. We have schools with trailers in them because we don't have enough room in classrooms. So we're going to build more condos, a park on 6 acres of land. Since high school, I've been searching for places to play basketball. I've always been told, go to the rec center. Go to the rec center, they're closed at night. You can't go there at night and just hang out and play basketball. So our kids have nowhere to go play ball. That park can be a beautiful place for basketball court, for the special needs park. I think that's an awesome idea. I think that could be very utilized in this town. We do have a lot of special needs kids in this town. I think that can be an excellent development for that land. A basketball court. Somewhere to work out, outdoor pull-up bars and things of that nature. People can go there and hang out and work out. You put lights up. You can have police walk around. When I was in Century Field, when I was a kid, there was always cops walking around, hanging out, talking to us, hanging out. No officers, which made the community great, I thought. We had a basketball court there. They can come hang out, watch us play ball, watch the kids play softball, talk to us. We have a great community here in Garfield. Things that I have friends from other towns that don't have the youthfulness memories that we have here. I started at 6 years old playing football. That was my first coach right there. This is a coach I had. No other coaches in this room. But I think condos is just the wrong answer. It's all right.
Thank you, Sharif. Mr. Tamara?
John Tamara, 10 Walnut Street. On this side of town, you're making a beautiful river walk. That side of town, you get all this money to redevelop that. Beautiful entrance to the city. Where you have a park already, you want to take it away and put condos. That's an entrance to the city also. People see condos, that's all they can see. You see a park, it's beautiful. Make it a multi-use park. That's the only regulation baseball field in this town that's open to the public. You can't go to the high school field and have a pickup game. You used to have pickup games, where'd you go? Bango Field.
Most holy name.
Most holy name, well, that's good.
Most
I'm
holy
not
name.
doing it.
I know, John.
Okay. Redevelop the park. Don't redevelop with condos. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weber.
Bill Popcari, 5 Maitland Place. Land is a very valuable asset. You can't build land. You could build a house. You could build a school. You can't build land. Once you sell that land, you're never going to get it back. You know, you gotta think of the future. You want to say it's underutilized, do something. Then it's add a list of organized teams that want to play on that field. The other lady there had a great idea for the basketball court there. Put a couple horseshoe pits there for us old parks. There's a lot of things you can do with that land. But you sell it, you're never going to get it back.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else would like to come up and speak? Else?
Adele Cater Sedena, 12 Spring Garden Lane, Garfield, New Jersey. I'm speaking as this side as an expert realtor, and a lot of people come up to me and say the town of Garfield, and one of the main things a lot of people see is parks. And parks is a big thing in this town because everybody loves seeing parks. And one of our biggest things, and I think one of the biggest fears, is taking that away and building condos. If I'm right, around 950 River Drive, we have a place called Signature Palace. That's right, there's about 184 townhouses, possibly a couple condos being there as well. You know, I mean, we have places around for living, and I mean, creating more possibly will probably generate a better increasement of land value, probably bringing better things, but I feel like it's better to just redevelop the park into a basketball court. Things for more of the kids. I remember when I was back in sophomore year, high school, throughout even to my senior year, even freshman year possibly, I would have to bike from my house all the way, probably about 3.5 miles, just to play a sport, basketball. And I mean, it was tough. It was tough. I mean, I did this every day. And I mean, we also had great athletes that came out of that area as well. And I'm gonna mention one named Justin Valaspino, and I'm pretty sure some of you know him, an MLB player, AA, if I'm right.
Yeah, you're right.
He came out of there. So I mean, we had a bunch of great players. Remember, we're named City of Champions for a reason. We want to keep that name. Taking things away from the kids is not really helping us. We want to grow. As we said before, we want to grow forward. We want to move forward. Staying in the middle is not really bringing us anywhere. We just want to grow forward. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdel.
How do you spell your name? Sir.
Abdel, can you just spell your last name?
Sardena, S-A-R-D-E-N-A. I'm like fish.
Okay, thanks.
Is there anyone else who'd like to, please?
Helen Patel, 246 South Line here. Close it down.
Help her out, Karen.
I'll be buying it.
Helen, what's her last name?
Nipatella.
How do you spell your last name?
Nipitella. I'll be brief because it's getting late. We should redevelop the park for a park.
N-I-P-T-I.
And we've all heard the difference. I'm sorry.
Try to spell your name, last name.
Nipitella. There have been great arguments made here for not putting condos on that park. Not just basketball, a picnic area, tables and chairs, and you talked about planting trees, shade trees, and there's parking there. You could put maybe a smaller sprinkler park back there for the kids if you don't want to put a pool. But there's something that nobody's mentioned. If you put housing back there or condos, where are you going to put the cars? The streets can't handle the traffic now. Have you ever tried to make a left off of Midland onto Outwater between 4:30 and 6 o'clock? You could sit there for an hour. We can't even get an arrow on the traffic light. Where are these cars gonna go? Because if you put condos, you need parking. And if there's parking, there's traffic. If there's traffic, no. It's a nightmare. I understand your thought process, and I do. There's other places to put it, not there. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Come on up, Sam.
Tony Pifaro, 367 MacArthur Avenue, for 62 years. All right. The problem is not, I think all of you have the right idea. You want to do something for the kids, you want to do something for the town. Condos are not the move. What should be done to that park is to upgrade it, should put in a track, an artificial track for the people in town to use, and the town and the city could use, and the high school use. You can have a park, you can have the playground, it should be a universal park, okay? The problem right now, and I think I might have a little idea on that, is scheduling. When you only got a few parks, or a few playgrounds, or a few fields, you gotta pack them in. You can't pack them in on that. Time is a problem. You need as many fields as you have to put the sports out. I got calls for rugby, I got calls for lacrosse. I couldn't fit them on because I would have to force people off the field. You can't do that. You have to have the park as a park. There's no way. Just develop it correctly for the people, that's all. I know you guys got it all in your heart, you all got the same reason. So do it right, all right?
Thanks, Tom.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come on up? Say your name and address, please.
Justin Rondon, 9 Willard Street.
I'm sorry, what number of Willard?
9.
And how do you spell your last name?
Rondon, R-O-N-D-O-N.
Justin.
Okay. Back when I was in middle school, you were my disciplinarian. The only place I really did have a place to play basketball was Century Field. As the years went on, I come to know that they took down the nets. After the nets, they reconstructed into a parking lot. Now, since middle school to high school till now, like till this day now, I either go to East Rutherford to play basketball, I go to Passaic, or I go to Lodi. When I was in middle school, I would have to walk from my house, which at the time was 177 Outwater Lane, to Memorial and Lodi. I don't think turning into condos is a good idea. We have condos on River Drive, what's it called, Centrex. We have an apartment building on Midland, the Golden Tower. Condos is not the right idea. When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, I had to cross towns. Memorial in Lodi is open until 6:30, 7 p.m. When I was in middle school, I had to walk that back. I didn't have a car, I didn't have a bike. Condos is not the idea. If you want to give back to the community, give back to the kids, open up a basketball court. The high school, you guys said that the courts are open year-round. No, that's a lie. They take off the nets once it hits summertime. Then no one can use it until the school starts back again in September. I grew up in Garfield. This is not the way it should be. You said that we should move forward, not stand still. Standing still is opening up more condos. We already have condos. What do you really want here? Me, when I go to work in the morning, I work at Quest. Me going up River Drive, there's a bunch of traffic. If I go through Midland, there's a bunch of traffic because of the people that already live here. Parking situation is terrible. I can never find parking in front of my house. I have to park 2-3 blocks down. Adding condos, that's gonna make it worse. Come on.
Thank you, Justin.
Pat Nader, 184 Shaw Street, N-A-Y-D-A. Okay, I understand you want to do something with that park, and I understand it's underutilized. Mr. Dutch spoke earlier and mentioned the foreclosure rate in this city, that it's been the highest that it's been in a long time. You're going to put more condos, which are going to overcrowd our schools. Now, you can say 1 or 2 bedroom condos, but there are 1 or 2 bedroom apartments now that already have 20 people living in them. Okay? People that are going to buy those condos are going to buy them for investment property. They're not going to live in them. They're going to rent them out. And again, we're going to go back to the overcrowded school situation. That needs to be remedied. The traffic that Helen mentioned, try going from Lanza to Elizabeth at 4:30, 5 o'clock. 30 minutes. We have fire companies that can't get members. We're bringing members from other towns. We're making junior members. What are we going to have on our hands? Maybe another Avalon? Will the fire companies be able to get down Midland Ave when there's 30 minutes of traffic? Do something with it. Put basketball courts. You want to put condos, and then you mentioned, yeah, we'll put basketball courts. Well, you moved the basketball courts from Century because they interfered with the houses. So now you're going to put condos and basketball courts. Are they not going to interfere again? Tony mentioned the track. Utilize it for winter. Find a way to put a skating rink. We haven't been able to skate on Dannert's Lake since I was 14 years old, 12 years old. Do something with it. Because Babe Ruth couldn't field teams out there on that field this year, we just say, let's just take it and sell it. It's not right. It's not right. It's not fair for you to make that decision without asking the people.
Thank you, Helen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thomas, 102 Harvard Avenue.
So you guys say you already have, what was it, 8 something in surplus?
What's her name? Megan.
Stamatopoulos. S-T-A-M-A-T-O-P-O-U-L-O-S.
You gotta go a little slow for her, Megan.
S-T-A-M-A-T-O-P-O-U-L-O-S.
You got that? Got it.
13 letters.
All right, Megan, thank you.
Alright, so you guys already had this huge surplus, right?
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there a redevelopment plan for condos down by the Garfield train station already?
Wasn't there what? I didn't hear the question.
Wasn't there another redevelopment plan down by the Garfield train station that you guys were talking about?
On Safe Street? Safe Street. Yes.
Yeah. So, you guys already have that in the works, why are you gonna take the field away for more money or whatever? Leave the field as is, see where it goes, add some basketball courts or whatever. You're gonna be getting your extra money from there, probably. So leave the field, let the kids have it.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Mr. Barquette.
Hi, guys.
Madam.
Good evening. Tom Barquette, 183 Lincoln Place, member of the Board of Education, former principal at School 4, former principal at School Number 8, former business administrator, former superintendent. I'm here to talk about the high school field. I applaud the board meetings. I wish we had this passion at the board meetings. I really mean that. I wish we had you coming to our board meetings. My complaint is that the Board of Education budget is the only budget that's voted on in the country. You don't vote on the federal budget, you don't vote on the state, city budget, only the board. We put the referendum 3 times to do that field. One year was gonna raise the taxes by $212, and the people voted it down. 3 years ago, the board voted to put it on the ballot. 3 of our board members sandbagged us and went against it. So what I'm saying is that I believe you guys are doing the right thing with the recreation, doing a great job, but help us. We're all one city, talking about the kids. Give us a hand. Our budget has been frozen for 7 years. We received no increase in 7 years. Now the new government, maybe we will. Salaries went up, pension went up, benefits went up, and fixed costs. So basically, we do need your help, and I wish all of you come to our board meeting and help us. I'd like to put this on the referendum again, to get this field done for our kids, because they do need it. And guys, you're doing a great job. Mr. Dutch, I served with you. We got blasted when you were mayor, when I was deputy mayor, when we did the 20th Century Field. They said, what are you doing with the 20th Century Field? Today, it's a gem. We had the foresight then, like you guys have too. And I do applaud you, but please work with us too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barquette. Tom.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I have lasted as long as I can. I spent a very long emotional afternoon on Lanza Avenue. I would respectfully ask to be excused.
Yes, Tom, go ahead.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to come on up? At this time, I see no hands. I'm going to open it up to council comments. Frankie?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. You know, at the meeting when this was all passed, it was the 3rd of April. It was not a regularly scheduled meeting. We had no video recording. I had given notice I was not able to attend, but yet the meeting still went through. And that was when this planning board study was voted on. I was able to make the meeting, I changed my plans, but yet we had no recording of it, and it just fell upon deaf ears as to reconsider. Mr. Lawyer put a resolution to just hold off. Let's get the professionals involved, let's get the YMCA, the Boys Club, let's get our rec director, but it still was pushed through. I had asked that the planner attend the meeting, and I was denied. See that nice presentation that Green Acres was given about the park? We didn't have that luxury. There was a presentation to the planning board. I'm a council person. I had no idea. I was not noticed. And it gives the perception that let's push it through. And that's wrong, because this is such a drastic step. It's a step in a different direction the city of Garfield has taken for many, many years. when they opened up and they built Boys and Girls Clubs, when they had parks, when they improved parks. You know, the park by 20th Century Field, when I was a child, there used to be barracks there. And it was barracks, and I believe, I'm not a historian, it was for when the war ended, people needed to live. And that property, the barracks came down, and my father was on the council in the early 70s. He told me he was approached to build 2-family dwellings there, sell it to a developer, let him develop that property. Himself, I remember Joe Miggs being on the council, or maybe Mr. Barquette would know who else was on there. They dedicated that property as parkland. Now it's parkland, it's utilized by Garfield Junior Boilermakers, Garfield Junior Boilermaker cheerleaders, freshman football, JV football, JV soccer, freshman soccer, maybe even varsity soccer. I'm not sure if they play there, but the bottom line is, without the foresight and without the vision of the future, that field would be just more 2-family homes. And that's when property was a little more abundant than what we have nowadays. Now, if there's an empty lot, it's built on. And we are 32,000 people. Our census may reflect even more when the 2020 census comes through. So where are we going to put all these people in 2.2 square miles? And when you have that kind of density, parks are even more valuable. People really need open space. And I'll be on the record, Mayor, I am for whatever you propose to keep that open space. Any type of park, any kind of open space venue that you may choose, but we need to put this to rest. We need to rescind the resolution. Myself, Mr. Alloy, I can't speak for him, we dropped the lawsuit and we go forward. And not because I say so, not because anyone says so, except the public. I've heard a lot of people come up to this microphone, and I haven't heard one person say, "You're doing a great thing, guys. Let's build more townhouses or condos or luxury apartments." Not one person. And if we are going to go, have we met with developers? Have we spoken to developers? I know I certainly haven't. You know, when I was the mayor, you get approached all the time. They wanted to develop on Lanza Avenue, wanted to put it all residential. I said, no way. You'll blow our schools apart. We can't handle it. But these are the things that happen. You know, we teach our children, just say no. Sometimes, as officials, we have to tell these developers, no. It's not going to happen, even though it's happening in other towns. You know, you drive through, all you see is these apartments. Mr. Malicki gave a perfect example at the last meeting. He talked about Nelkin Park in Wallington. And it's on private land, but you look at the development on Patterson Plank Road over there. There's apartments, there's 4-story high, there's going to be inadequate parking once they realize that everybody's got 2-3 cars in a family. And the park just isn't the same when you look at those high-rise apartments. It's just not the same. So all we're asking, Mayor, I'm asking, let's reconsider. Let's put a resolution on at the next meeting to rescind this. Let's go about it in a way that not I'm asking you to, but that all our residents are asking us to do. And we represent, government is here to serve the public. And that's why we're here. We all have great ideas, we think. Some are great, some are not. Sometimes people disagree with us. We have to reflect that in our thoughts. We have to adjust that in our future. So with that being said, the cameras I am 100% for. Whatever we have to do to make this city safer. Because without safety, we have no quality of life. And you know what? It's a busy world out there, not just Garfield, but every time you open up the papers, you see how difficult things are getting out there. So I am 100% for that, and I've spoken enough this evening. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Frank. Deputy Mayor, I just want to say thank you for everybody who came out tonight. You know, we listen to everybody. Don't think that we're just going to go home and blow anything off. Nothing has been decided on that field whatsoever. Believe me, no, nothing's, but it isn't wrong just to take a look at it. It is, I agree, I want to see all park there. I would rather see all park there than anything. But you know, I also love to see our high school kids get a new field. Right, Ben, I know, Dan, I know. I'm just saying, I like my cake and eat it too. And you know what, we could do it. Somehow, some way, we could do it, Dan, and I plan on doing it. I want to get it done, all right? Well, I did, I have, all right? We talk about redevelopment as if it's a nasty word here sometimes, and you know what? 11 years ago, the city was looking to lay off 11 cops. We got rid of the Easter parade, the Easter egg hunt, Memorial Day parade, fireworks. We got rid of just about every activity that we had in the city, and we were laying off cops. And what happened? Tonight, we spoke about an $8 million budget surplus. That's fantastic, but it's because of redevelopment. It's because of redevelopment. So I'm so happy that Mr. Lawyer bragged about our budget tonight, but he voted against the budget last year, and he put the budget on hold tonight, not to vote on. Now, if I was so happy about that budget, I would have voted on that budget tonight. You know what? And the same, and believe me, I'm not for condos on Columbus Field, City Field. I'm just improving it. Okay? So do we need condos?
The thought of selling, it's selling our city property. That's what it comes down to. You don't need to do it.
Dan, I hope we don't, and I don't want to. And I love, Reggie, what your wife had to say. You know, she came up here, she spoke from the heart. You know, and the majority of the people here tonight do speak from the heart. And I thank you. You know, it's people like her that go to the Boys and Girls Club every single night to bring their kids there, that lets her husband donate so many years to coaching. That's the backbone of this town, you know. And well, look, I mean, hey, I'm open to every single option, Johnny. I am. I'm not set for condos, but I would like to see that field improved. All right, no, I'm not for retail. Well, would I be for retail? I don't care.
Everybody spoke on condos.
We're not talking back and forth.
I agree with you 100%. I'm into any kind of option going. It doesn't matter to me either way. But just don't close the book on it.
Okay,
You know?
just one thought.
No, we're not talking back and forth.
You can't move forward until you get this off the table.
Well, we can move forward. Then there's nothing happening at Columbus Field for forever right now. There's nothing happening then. Before anything happens on Columbus Field, there's going to be all types of meetings and everything else. So there's nothing happening. I mean, I love when we spoke about redevelopment on Passaic Street with eminent domain, and everybody came out, oh, you were taking away our properties, we got 45 days. Nobody wants to do eminent domain on Passaic Street. But people, some council members scare people into thinking that. That's what we're going to do, eminent domain. And we don't want to do eminent domain on Passaic Street. But we do want to see Passaic Street be a better place. But people use the scare tactics that's what we want to do. And so as far as Columbus Field, no, we don't want to build condos, we don't want to do retail, but we do want to improve it. And how do we get to that? How do we get there? Only together, right? Only together, then, all right?
Thank you, John. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. Everybody that was speaking, it was from the heart, and it's touching to see that people actually care. You know, maybe I was delusional that not so many people did care about what goes on in Garfield, but I can see that there are a lot of people that do care what goes on in Garfield and what goes on in our town. And I just want to say, like, I will always continue to look to move Garfield forward. As long as I sit up here, I want to see what's the best thing for Garfield. It could be, you know, we could disagree, but I'm always going to look forward to see what's good for Garfield. And, you know, some people, you know, you spoke so well and you spoke so passionate about it, you know, it's persuading. It's persuading. And condos may not be the best thing for there, from what everybody says. I just want to look to see what's there. I'm throwing things out there all the time to see what connects, so Garfield could be in Bergen County. Councilman Calangiolo said that, yeah, we are one of the poorest towns in Bergen County. And that's a distinction I don't like. The distinction that how our residents compare to other residents in Bergen County. And that always bothered me. So I'm always putting something out there. And it may, and this is what comes out there. I put this out there, and this, you know, you guys came in here and you're speaking and you're standing up, and you know, and I may disagree with you, you may disagree with me, but I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying that. And you're right, condos may not be the best part for there, but what I did notice that a lot of people were talking about a field, to redevelop that field, to revitalize that whole field, and, you know, to turn it into something else. So it may not ever be a baseball field again, but at least it will be something positive. I will continue to look forward to talking about this. This is not going to happen overnight. This is not going to happen next year at all. You know, but I will continue to talk to the residents. I saw Dennis on Sunday, and he was very passionate about it and persuading. I will continue to listen to everybody on both sides, and, you know, I will make a decision. If it needs to be rescinded, I would rescind it. Right now, I just want to listen to everybody and all the options out there. And, you know, that's all I got to say. You know, like Tom, you know, the student that passed away really weighs heavy on my mind because, you know, from my understanding was that he was going to be in our school starting tomorrow, and it bothers me that he was supposed to start school tomorrow in our town. That's unofficial, and it's disturbing to me. So, you know, if I seem out of it, I do apologize to everybody. But, you know, back to the field is that, you know, I will continue to listen to everybody, and, you know, down the line, you know, hopefully we'll come to a resolution that fits everybody, that will benefit Garfield, you know, and I'll just leave it at that for now. So, but I promise you that nothing is taking place right now, and I promise you that I will listen to both sides, and I will make a conscious decision, and we'll move from there. With that, meeting adjourned.
Okay.
I'll make a motion